is the Drunken Fist podcast with your host, David Bordeaux. That's me. And Justin Plavic.
That's me.
Yep. This podcast is made possible by the fans of the show. For more information, please visit drunkenfistpodcast.com/fans. What are you drinking, Justin?
Oh, whatever it is, I don't like it. I thought I had high hopes for this, but I hate it.
What? Okay. What is it that you're drinking?
It's by the Island Brewed Maui Brewing Company.
Uh-huh.
So it's called the Coconut Hiwa Porter. It is a robust dark ale with hand-toasted coconut and hints of mocha. It is 6% alcohol by volume. Hold on, let me just take another sip. Maybe I just drank something else earlier that didn't match. Hold on.
All right. I mean, because to me, it sounds like it would be good. I love coconut. I like chocolate. I love porter.
No. I don't know what it is. It's like this. It goes in. I don't taste any coconut for one. And then for two, it's almost like it's so bitter that it's sour.
I don't think those tastes work together like that.
I honestly just don't even understand the taste profile of this. It just goes in really rough. Like, it's smooth, yes, but every taste bud in my mouth right now is like screaming.
Huh. And that's from what brewing company?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the mocha that's just got this overpowering bitterness or something. And then, you know what? This is weird because I love bitter. So I don't know what's going on. But this is the Maui Brewing Company, Coconut Hiwa. But I taste no coconut. Oh my God. It tastes like coffee that's been sitting out for 30 years. That's the only thing I can describe this as. I mean, the can is really cool.
Right, so you're drinking from a can. What is there like a Best Buy date on there or something?
You know what?
Like
I probably should check that. Probably people see this and just walk by it. Canned on 4/19/19.
That's not too bad.
No, that's not really that bad at all. So it shouldn't, especially in a can. So the light can't get to it.
Yeah, and modern canning technology has definitely improved. So old school spoilage in that isn't really a thing anymore, at least the way that it used to be.
It's just a bad beer. Like, my mouth still tastes like I just drank like 40 coffees or something. But I also don't drink coffee. I feel like maybe people who like coffee might like this. So I'm a little biased.
Well, that is a bit odd. Now, I have had chocolate and porter before that there's no coffee in there, but it definitely has like a coffee sort of flavor. But man, that like I want to try it.
It's hitting me every time. I'm like, maybe it'll go away.
So you're not gonna be able to drink through the show then, huh?
No, I'm gonna drink it. I don't waste beer, but I'm gonna bitch about it during like at least most of the time.
All right.
Yeah. Well, so toasted coconut and hints of mocha. There is no chocolate.
What do you mean there's no chocolate? Mocha is the chocolate, and you said that it's probably the bitterness from the chocolate. There's no coconut.
No, there's coconut. Well, it's supposed to be coconut in it, but I don't taste the coconut.
You said you didn't taste it. That's what I'm saying.
I thought mocha was a coffee.
No, mocha is fucking chocolate, dude.
No. All right. Well, their mochas went bad. They're like, I'm going to make a beer where the mocha is at least 40 years old.
And 90% bitter. All right. Well, I am going to tell you about my beer. It is from the Dew Claw Brewing Company, and they are out of Baltimore, Maryland. And this happens to be one that I think on one episode I did talk about. I know I talk about the other one that's similar, but I am currently going to be drinking. I haven't drank it yet, but I will be drinking the Sweet Baby Jesus Chocolate Peanut Butter Porter.
I thought you didn't like peanut butter.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that. Now, this particular one, the Sweet Baby Jesus, I do like this one, and I like the other one that they make, which is Sweet Baby Java, which is chocolate, peanut butter, and coffee. That one, oh my God, I fucking love. But for whatever reason, I decided to pick up Sweet Baby Jesus. And the nice thing, at least for me, because I don't care for peanut butter, is that when I drink this, I don't taste the peanut butter. But I'm going to actually take a sip real quick just so I can have a little bit better idea of how to explain what I'm experiencing. But this is a 6.2% by volume, or alcohol by volume. So it's one of those the middle of the road kind of alcohol content beers. But let me take a quick sip here. And I am drinking it from the bottle, as opposed to a pint glass or even a snifter. I do prefer drinking my porters and stouts out of snifters because it opens up the vessel, so that way when you drink, you can kind of smell it as you drink it. But this does kind of have a hint of chocolate. What I would say is that if you like porters and if you like Reese's peanut butter cups, you would like this beer. It's not real heavy on peanut butter at all. And I think like the chocolate and peanut butter really balance each other out. There's like, it's not too chocolate forward or too peanut butter forward. Cause if it was too much peanut butter, I would not like it, but it's a real nice balance. But it's just like it's almost like a little hint of a Reese's, chocolate cup or whatever the hell they're called, peanut butter cup. There's just like a little hint of that with a porter. It's absolutely delicious. That said, I do love their Sweet Baby Java even more, but for whatever reason, I decided to pick this Sweet Baby Jesus up and drink it. But yeah, this is a good one. So I will definitely be enjoying this while we talk about today's topic. How is your beer treating you? Did it get any better, or is it still the roughness?
I'm only quiet because I don't want to throw up. No, I mean, I'm joking. Like it's pretty bad, but I mean, I'm going to drink it.
All right. Well, just so that the Maui company or whatever doesn't get any more bad press, let's move on from the beer.
God damn. I don't know what that is. It's like, sorry, I hit the mic.
Yeah, really?
It stays in the, like the taste is coating my entire mouth. Like, if I breathed on someone, I feel like they can feel my pain.
Oh, wow. Shit. Dude, don't drink that, man, unless you don't have anything else to drink. Just like...
Oh, no. I don't waste beer. This is going down.
Shit, dude.
This is going to go down fast.
No. See, and this is something that I believe deeply in. If you are drinking something that is not a pleasurable experience, cut your fucking losses, man. Because it's what's referred to as a sunk cost. There's people who will continue to put time and effort into something that they know is not good or they know is not whatever in hopes that it might turn around. And in some cases it might. But
oh, no, I know it's not going to turn around. I just don't waste beer. See, it's already halfway gone.
But you've already wasted it by acknowledging that you don't like it. Because now you're wasting your time. You're wasting your taste experience and you're making yourself fucking suffer.
That's who I am.
You're a sadomasochist. You like to give yourself torture and then you enjoy the torture. That's twisted.
Love
dude.
the suffering.
Speaking of suffering, let's talk about today's topic. Today's topic, I'm inspired by this because this comes up quite a bit through my life, and for a while, the topic is imposter syndrome. And I've had throughout my life different times where I've really had a rough time with imposter syndrome, in just different areas. And I wanted to talk about this today because a fan of the show had messaged me. And if you are listening, I do apologize if I'm sharing information I should not. Please let me know. But I had a fan contact.
Well, it's still going to be a little too late after letting you know.
Kind of, but I can totally do an apology on air, and I can make it up to this person in whatever way the person would feel would be appropriate. But
and we're not saying who the fan is, too.
No, we're not. But I had a fan contact me and asked me what my thoughts were on a particular subject, and the subject was the fan was referred to, like, other people refer to the fan who contacted me as something. This particular this fan, we'll call him Jim. Jim was in the military, and other people will refer to Jim as a veteran, and Jim doesn't feel comfortable when others call him a veteran. And so he asked me, knowing that I was a veteran, like what my thoughts were on this. And I told him, because like Jim is not from the US, and I told him that, I don't know what his government or his military, whatever, dictates this, what their stipulations are, or what their rules are for considering somebody a veteran. But in the US, we have two ways that someone's a veteran. Either you serve in a war campaign. So in other words, I went to Iraq, and we happened to have a war in Iraq. So the moment that I stepped foot on Iraqi soil, I was considered a veteran of war. The other type of veteran in the US is if you have served 20 years and you retire after serving 20 years of service, regardless if you've ever been to war or not, you are then considered a veteran. Outside of that, there is no designation of veteran for any other thing. You can be honorably discharged. You can be a former military service person. However, the U.S. government and military states that if you served in a war zone, you're a veteran. If you've spent 20 years and retired from military service, you're a veteran. And I explained that I'm like, I don't know what Jim, that's what we're calling him, right? Jim? I don't even remember.
All right, Jim.
I don't know what Jim's country or military considers, but this is what I would do. If a civilian is calling you a veteran or even thanking you for your service, just kindly, say thank you or you're welcome, whatever is most appropriate to you. I personally say when someone thanks me, like I thank them for the recognition of what I've done. Now, like many veterans and many service members, I don't feel that I've done anything special. I served my country. I did what I did in the military. I mean, to me, ultimately, it was a job. I mean, I liked what I did, and I'm proud of, the effort that I put forward in my job. At the same time, I don't feel that I've done anything above and beyond. However, when someone thanks me, I just thank them. And what I recommend to Jim is to, thank them. And if the time and situation is appropriate to, just let them know, whether he is or is not a veteran. And Jim then and I asked Jim, I'm like, so what what designates a veteran in your country? And Jim said that, if I'm remembering this correctly, essentially anybody who serves or who completes either like basic training or initial training. So like when you get into the military and they teach you how to do whatever it is that you're going to do, when you graduate that, you are then considered a veteran.
Honestly, I always thought any military, even in USA, I thought you were a veteran just as soon as you entered.
Right. Which that's not the case. You just happen to be a military individual. And if you've never, if you in the US, if you haven't done your 20 years or you haven't served in a war zone, you're not a veteran. Now, that is the military designation of veteran. However, civilians kind of make up their own things. So for many civilians, they consider anybody who's ever been in the military a veteran.
Same.
So,
yeah, that's me.
So it's that difference. It's just like even in the scientific community, to those of us who are in the scientific community, if a person who is not in the scientific community says, well, I have a theory on that, or you can't believe that because that's just a theory, it makes those of us who are in the scientific community, it just fucking makes us cringe. Because in science, what that person is actually saying is hypothesis, which is an educated assumption or educated guess or an educated thought. Sometimes their thoughts aren't all that fucking educated, even though you call it a fucking theory. But in science, though, a theory is something that has been put forward, has been tested many times, and the evidence supports it to a point that it has yet to be disqualified or questioned, I get, for lack of better terms. So in the science community, when we say theory, it is a pretty sound idea. It doesn't mean that it's infallible. There is potential in the future to show that, oh, this wasn't quite it. But until that time, this is accepted. But in the civilian world or in the average community, when someone says theory, they really mean like a hypothesis, and it just makes us cringe. So similar sort of thing when it comes to the civilian world and concept of veteran versus the military. But I asked him, and he told me that pretty much as soon as you serve your initial training, you're considered a veteran. And I told him, I'm like, well, then there you go, dude. Go ahead and accept that veteran. He's like, yeah, but I just don't feel comfortable with that. He's like, because, of his situation, and he was, he got out of the military with honorable discharge a little bit earlier than, I guess what was expected or something like that. But, he put time in, but I asked him, I'm like, well, how much time, with your understanding of the way that your government works and your military works, what would you consider appropriate time to maybe consider somebody a veteran? And he's like, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And I'm like, Jim, you've served 6 years. You are very close to that. You're not that far off. And your military and government say that you are a veteran. Just go ahead and own that, accept that. But what the problem really is it comes to the idea of, and there's a lot of us who were or even are in the military where, like, we don't feel that we're doing anything great or super important. I mean, like, we feel that our job is our job, and we put our effort in there, and we do the best that we can. Some of us don't, but but we don't. Right. So it's not saying that we don't value what we are putting forward. It's just the idea that it's not that big. It's not that great. However, to somebody who is not in our position, to somebody who couldn't imagine the possibility of going to another country, even possibly losing your life over something, that's huge. Well, those of us who are on the military side, it's like, I mean, yeah, I don't want to die. However, I've come to accept that if that happens, then that's what happens. And others are like, oh my God, that's huge. So this really kind of comes to the idea of imposter syndrome. Like Jim really inspired me to think about this because I think it was maybe even last episode when we were talking about dealing with difficult students. I shared about how I had one student who was promoted what I think prematurely. And
oh yeah, I remember that.
Okay. Well, there are times in martial arts where an instructor would, what I would consider, promote someone prematurely. Now usually they have good intention, and the intention is, yeah, they're not quite there yet, but hopefully if they receive this rank, that will pull them up to that rank. And, and in that case, somebody who might feel or experience imposter syndrome, they're not really that far off because, yeah, they haven't really earned that rank. At the same time, they are now in that position, so they need to pull themselves up. But there are other times, and I have felt this, where I have earned rank, and there are others who have earned their rank, and their instructors will say solidly, and they stand by it 100%. And it's like, it's not I ranked you up to hopefully, inspire you to get better or whatever. But it's like, no, you honestly deserve it. And it's like I deserve this? Oh, I don't feel that way. And there are these challenges where we go through life and we experience it where, yeah, we are qualified and we are right where we need to be. However, we have this feeling of being a fraud and even like fearful sometimes. What if they find out? What if they find out? I don't know what I'm doing. And even my friend, and I'll probably mispronounce her name. My friend Kathy Chapity, she wrote a book called No Pouting in the Dojo that talks a lot about her essentially imposter syndrome. She didn't feel that she lived the greatest life, and she's a martial arts instructor. Yeah, she deserves her rank and she has the qualifications of being a martial arts instructor, but she just didn't feel that, it's like, what if they found out I have all of these problems or challenges in my life? I'm not perfect. What if they find out that I'm not perfect? And that really can cause some serious problems with people. And I've even lost students that they have been legitimately promoted. They have 100% solidly earned their rank and they quit. And I couldn't figure it out because they were great students. Like they put the effort in and, they never showed any reason. I contact them later and, it's well, I don't feel that I deserved it. It's like, but you did. No, I don't feel that I did. So I really shouldn't be there. And then I've known people coming up with me through the ranks who've done that exact same thing. They quit. They're hardworking. They put in their dedication. They put in their effort and then they quit because they didn't feel like they deserved that rank. Before I continue anymore, I need to drink some beer. Have you encountered imposter syndrome either with yourself, with students, or anybody else?
I mean, I have probably with somebody else, but just honestly can't recall it. This is definitely your topic for sure, just because I've never served in the military. But I think my version of imposter syndrome came in martial arts, where when I got my first black belt, so when I first became Shodan, even when I taught in Bowling Green, and it actually might be why I lost some students. But
teaching in Bowling Green.
Yeah, teaching in Bowling Green might be why.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But when I was there doing the club, I actually stopped wearing my black belt because I felt like I didn't deserve it. I actually started wearing a white belt, and people would come in and be like, "Why are you wearing a white belt? I don't want to learn from you." And right. I'm like, "Oh no, I'm actually a black belt." And I just came up with this cockamania bullshit there where I was just like, well, I believe we're all equal. We're all on the same journey. I'm just sharing my knowledge. So that's why I'm wearing a white belt. But in my head, it was like, I don't know. It was weird. I worked my ass off to get my Shodan, but in my head, for some reason, something was stopping me. And I was just like, man, I don't deserve this. I'm just going to start wearing a white belt again.
Right.
And it wasn't until after the club where I started picking back up my black belt. And I was like, you know what? I think I do deserve this. But it took me a long time.
The interesting thing is that people who typically or experience imposter syndrome are the people who are qualified. They almost always are right where they need to be. And it's funny, interesting, not funny, haha, unless you're sadistic and work like me, and then I laugh at any fucking thing. But it's kind of funny because, again, the people who most typically experience imposter syndrome are qualified for whatever the hell they're doing or are in. And those people who feel overly confident, like, yep, I deserve to be here, I'm right here, they usually are the ones who are not in the place where they should be. And there's actually like a lot of research that has been done on imposter syndrome and it can be really challenging because much like the people who have quit martial arts, when they've truly earned their rank, they just stopped, because they didn't feel that they earned it, even though others recognize that they do deserve it. And kind of like with your experience, coming up the
Well,
ranks.
I'm still the same way. Like I stopped at Sandan. I don't feel like I earned to go any further, you know?
Well, coming up the ranks, there have been times where there's been only a couple of times where I've been promoted and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. What if what if my instructor really finds out that I'm not quite qualified for this? But coming up the ranks, I didn't feel that too much. However, where I like in martial arts specifically, where I really experienced it was when I was an instructor. When I became an instructor, um, while I've learned pedagogy, I've learned psychology of teaching and the psychology of learning. And, so I have the background in that. And I even have a degree, in education. But when it came to teaching martial arts, while I have the martial arts experience and while, I have the teaching background, and even at that time, I had, instructor experience outside of martial arts. There's this time where it's like, oh crap, what if they find out I really don't know what I'm doing? But I do know what that's the messed up thing is I can look back and it's like, yes, martial art technique wise, I have the techniques. I knew the techniques. I could teach it I could do it in my damn sleep. And I had the ability to explain it to somebody and to show it to somebody to have them learn it. So, I had the ability to transmit it. I knew the information, but there was just something going, man, what if they find out? What if they find out? And that whole idea of what if they find out seems to kind of like be this overarching concept with people who have imposter syndrome. And it can be debilitating at times because of this fear. And there are several things that we can do, but it's like even, and now I'm going to get back into the teaching thing, is like there's times even when I'm teaching at the charter school, because at the charter school, which is different than a typical dojo or dojang or gym or whatever, where people usually are, there goes beer cap, people usually are there because they want to be there. It's like 80 to 90% of the people want to be there, whereas maybe 10 to 20% don't. And those who don't usually are there because their parents are making them go, or they know they got to get fit or whatever. But teaching at the charter school, like 80 to 90% of my students don't want to be there. And, maybe 10 to 15, if I'm even lucky, want to learn martial arts. And there's been times where, especially my first year, teaching at this charter school, because like I've taught at Montessori school before.
Ooh, Montessori school. I would teach at a Montessori if I could do it.
And I'll tell you, I even experienced it there too, like the imposter syndrome, because I thought that it'd be really cool. I like to do things that are different than the typical or the norm, and I like to do things that are supported by research and evidence of that. And I really appreciate the way that Montessori schools, the philosophy of the teaching and all that. But teaching martial arts there, it was such a huge culture shock. And it's like, yeah, I needed to learn some things. I needed to learn how to reword the way that I taught, and I had to redirect students in a new way. So I had some learning to go. And sometimes, like when we meet this resistance, it can be quite a challenge. But even at the Montessori school, like when I kind of got the Montessori philosophy down as best as I could while teaching martial arts, there was this, what if they find out? And it's like, everybody there knew I was not trained in the Montessori method. So there was nothing to hide from that. Everybody knew that. And, I didn't hide that from anybody. So, it's like, okay, what if they find out? They already know that. They're okay, cool. I know what I'm teaching. I have the ability to teach what I'm teaching. So where's that? But there was still that, what? Over time, though, as I taught there even longer, that whole imposter syndrome thing lessened up with regards to the Montessori. But like now, my first year teaching it at this charter school, it was hard. Like the culture was very different than what I'm used to. Like the administrative culture was different than where I've ever taught. The student culture was very different than I've ever experienced. And excuse me. And I've worked in a wide variety of schools that have diversity, both be it in academic schools and even in martial arts schools. You know, I've worked with a wide variety of diverse populations. So the population itself at the school wasn't different than what I'm used to. It's just the way the culture of our students happened to be. So like that first year, I was just hitting so many roadblocks and so many challenges. And I felt over my head with, oh my God, what are they going to think? What if they find out? And it's that, what if they find out? And it's like, there's nothing to find out. They can go back, like with my martial arts experience and my teaching experience, they've already verified all of that. They've already looked at my history. They know all of that stuff. And,
right. It's honestly just in your mindset. So even to this day, I still feel like I don't deserve this, or I didn't do that, or, I didn't earn this. And it's just a mindset that somebody has early on when, I still feel like I don't deserve half the shit I have. So right. that's my mental problem. So that's why I think it must have happened early on somewhere in my life where I started doing that. Because I feel like nowadays I'm overly humble and overly nice.
Right.
And I recognize that now. But it's still just like, I don't know. Even my Sandan right now, I don't want to continue. And I'm not actually sure why.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I would encourage you to look into that and to dig to find out. Because it might be a version of imposter syndrome with this, or it might be,
probably,
or it might be, something else that you're dealing with, or let's just say that you should be dealing with, or could be dealing with that you're not, and you're suppressing for a particular reason. The one reason why I wanted to even have this episode is, since there are a lot of people who experience this, and a lot of times we feel that we're alone because of that fear of what if they find out? They might not, they might find out that I'm not perfect. They might find out that I don't know everything. It's like, and nobody knows everything. Even the people who don't feel imposter syndrome, even they don't know everything. And so like, I wanted to talk about this so that our listeners can, I'm very interested in to know what you have to say, Justin, and what your experiences are, because even knowing that my good friend experiences the same things, or has experienced the same things that I have, helps me to move forward. And
I've never talked about this before. This is the first time.
It's hard. And, even as I'm saying this right now, I feel comfortable because I know that you, Justin, are listening and that. And so but it's scary to a point to know that when this goes live, and for all of our listeners, it's kind of like they get to hear that, I don't feel comfortable.
You're human.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that it was like when Jim started, and again, Jim's not his real name, but like when Jim asked me the question about this veteran status, to me, it wasn't, I hate to say it this way, but to me, it wasn't a big deal. And I don't mean that Jim's experience was not a big deal.
Right. Because you're not at his perspective.
Right. So for me, because I know that, through my military experience and like what my military says and what my government says, I am a veteran. Now, at first, I really struggled with that because, again, I was a truck driver. I drove from base to base to camp, whatever. I would haul things from as little as outhouses, and I used to drive large trucks. In the Army, when I was in Iraq, we used to drive Hets, and anybody who knows anything about Army vehicles, it is the largest truck that the Army has. And so it's kind of silly because if you know what a Het looks like, it's a large, has a large bed on it. It's essentially like a semi truck that is on steroids, but it has a large trailer. And I would carry something as small as outhouses all the way up to as large as Abram tanks, going from base to base to camp and whatever. And there have been a few times that while we're on convoy, our convoys got attacked and that. But I mean, other than some back injury that I experienced in Iraq, which prevented me from going to Afghanistan, there, like my experience wasn't, quote, as bad as others. And therefore it was kind of rough for me at first to kind of go, yeah, technically I'm a veteran, but, and yeah, a convoy or two of mine got attacked, but
that's a lot, man. I wouldn't be able to handle that shit.
Well, see, and that's the thing. It's like, there are a lot of people who could not handle that. But because I'm where I'm at, it's kind of like I drove trucks. Yeah, I loaded big ass fucking tanks on the back of my truck. Yeah, we had shit shooting at us and we had fucking IEDs blowing up on the sides of the road. And every damn dog that ran across us, we had to be worried that was going to blow up. Because like over in Iraq, stray dogs is just kind of like everywhere. And there was one time we even drove by a fucking donkey, a dead donkey on the side of the road. And dead donkeys don't typically show up on the side of roads, but there was a dead donkey, and our scout vehicle that was ahead of us, they slowed down and they found fucking wires coming out of it. I think out of its ass. I don't remember, but
oh Jesus.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, dead animals over there apparently is a thing, but so, I mean, it's kind of like not a big deal, but donkeys don't typically end up on the side of the road. Dead dogs, oh my God, everywhere. It's kind of like cats around here in the US or other random wild animals. But dead dogs, man, shit. But the thing is, like, even live dogs running across from us, you like in front of our vehicles, you have to be careful for because it could fucking blow up. Now, for me.
Oh, wait, really quick, small segue.
Do it.
That has nothing to do with the topic, but it's really fucking sad. The area where I work at, the people, like there's a church nearby that is a certain saint of like wandering animals or something. And when they don't want their dog, they just fucking leave their dog and kick them out of the car. And so where I work, like almost every day, there's a dog that wanders into school.
Oh, geez.
And a teacher just takes it and adopts it. But it's really fucking sad because
that is sad.
Seriously, they're starting to form packs too, which is kind of scary because, when you have dogs that were domesticated and then you turn them back to the wild and then they form packs, they become actually pretty dangerous.
Yeah, because they're not afraid of humans, and they are still dependent on humans to a point. They have the ability to find their own food if possible. At the same time, they've been bred to rely and depend on humans, and they're not afraid of them. So yeah, they can become pretty fucking dangerous.
No, exactly. But anyway, so sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No worries. But anyhow, even like live animals, like you have to be concerned because they're like that donkey. We come to find out there were explosives shoved up its ass and it was ready to go. But fortunately, our scouts saw it and we took care of things. But I mean, like, so like not the average person doesn't have to worry about if a dog who runs out in front of your car. Normally you have to worry, am I going to hit the goddamn thing? And hopefully our listeners are the kind that would do your best to make sure you don't hit it unless like there's no other option. But that's usually it. That's all you have to usually worry about. Not that the damn thing's going to blow up, or that there's a bomb on the side of the fucking road or that these fuckers are going to be shooting at you. But for me and others who've experienced it, that becomes day in, day out kind of shit. So the idea that I've come home, I'm alive. Yeah, I have a couple stories I could tell. I don't typically tell stories about my experience, but it's like, because, and like part of it's like I don't really feel that my experiences are all that, worthy of talking about, nothing big. But to the civilian who's never been there, who might be interested, those stories are actually pretty fucking interesting, even though I'm like, this is boring as hell. I mean, it really wasn't a big fucking deal kind of thing. So I forgot I did have a segue, but then the whole wires coming out of a donkey's ass and dogs running in front of you.
It's very distracting.
Yeah, especially considering just even like the visual of having wires coming out of a donk's ass. But,
right. As soon as you said it, I stopped paying attention. I was like, wires out of a donkey's ass. What does that look like?
It's scary as fuck when you're on the damn road because a donkey is a large fucking animal and a lot of explosives can be shoved into a fucking donkey. But anyway, the point being
Apparently
is that
in his anus.
Oh my God, dude.
Apparently.
I am so glad I was just a truck driver. That's all I could say. But the point being is that when I came back, the idea of calling myself a veteran, I hated that. It's just, I didn't feel comfortable. Yeah, I knew I earned it, but shit, anybody who sets fucking foot over in Iraq, even if they stayed in what we refer to as FOBITs, who are people who never go outside of the wire. They just stay on the FOB, and FOB stands for Forward Operating Base. They also legitimately earned the title of being a veteran. And there are some people who look at people who've never gone outside of the wire and kind of like, yeah, but they're FOBITs. They're just this, that, and the other. And when I came back, yeah, there's some stories I could tell, but fuck, I don't really deserve it. But over time, I've come to accept it. So when Jim came to me, I was kind of like that. Yeah, I've accepted the veteran title. So to me, it wasn't a big deal. It doesn't mean that I undervalued nor did I appreciate Jim's concern, because I truly do. And especially like when you're in the military, almost anybody else who's in the military, regardless if it's yours or not, your country's or not, you tend to have like a certain camaraderie with them, unless of course they're in a military that was directly opposed to you. So, like I fell for him because he's a fellow brother that's in the military. And even like in martial arts, we kind of feel that way. But the point being is that I really wanted to talk about this and to share this so that way other people who are listening who might have experienced this, some people don't even know that there is a thing called, that it has a title, and it's called Impostor Syndrome. And that there are other people who experience this. A lot of times, very highly qualified individuals in very high positions experience, imposter syndrome. And there are some things that you can do to help work through it, and to, kind of stop feeling like a fraud and to understand that you are where you need to be. Whether you feel it, that it's appropriate or not, you are there. Oh, excuse me. And I just burped.
Ew.
Yeah, I know. Drinking beer tends to do that. And like one of the things that you could do, which is like what I was just doing now when we're talking with you, Justin, is talk to your mentors. And while you and I think we consider ourselves peers, I have a lot of peer mentors.
No, we're friends.
Yeah, which are peers, but okay. But
no,
all right.
We're best friends.
All right. Well, talk to your bestie, because your bestie might have gone through this as well. And even talk to mentors, people that you look up to or have learned from, because there are times that you will find that even your mentor or somebody that you look up to has struggled with the same feelings. And something else too is recognize your expertise. Just like what I was saying when talking about with martial arts, I have put in the time. I've learned those techniques, and I've learned how to be an instructor, both a martial arts instructor and outside of martial arts. But I've learned those I've learned that ability to be able to teach. So I have that.
Right.
And
that's where I'm at too, though. Like,
go ahead.
No, I still have trouble with it. I put in the time. I'm not egotistical at all. There are like 3 things I'm really good at: being a husband, teaching social studies, and doing martial arts. I don't know about.
Oh, I thought you were going to say drinking beer.
Well,
shit.
No, I'm not even good at that.
4 things. Yeah, no, not really.
Especially drinking this Maui. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with this thing. But like seriously, I don't know why it's in my mindset. I can't say anything about me teaching martial arts because I don't have somebody grading me. But as a teacher, I have my principal every year, do observations and grade me as a teacher, and I usually do very well. But
Right.
but with the martial arts, for some reason, I don't know what it is, because I've always been, I think in the back of my head, like I know I'm like, I pick it up very easily. It comes pretty easy to me. I'm pretty talented at it, but somewhere along the way, I'm just like, oh, I'm a piece of shit.
Well, I can tell you that from my martial arts experience, I know, at least I assume I know. I mean, this is my cognitive side of the brain trying to rationalize these feelings that I have and whether this is true or not. I know that my martial arts experience was not and still is not a linear experience. You know,
that makes sense.
I've been through so many different arts. I've started and I stopped because of financial reasons. And then I've gone to another art and I've started and I've stopped. And I've been promoted in this art. And then I've been, I've worked in this other. And so I don't have a nice, clean, straight path to where I am now. And there are so many other examples in this world where somebody started in some style. They started at the very beginning and then they've ranked up and it's very clear and a clean path and since my path has been very twisted and turned and all of this, part of that is like well, it's not the same, which is crazy because if you know me, I'm the kind of person who likes to be outside of the box. Now, I do say that somewhat in a cliche because being inside or outside of the box is a cliche, but I am the type of person, I like to be outside of the box, but I like to be just close enough that I can put my hands on the side of the box. And if absolute necessary, I can jump inside the box for comfort, but I like to be on the outside of the box. So even though, and like, damn, anybody who talks to me and knows me generally knows it's like, I'll like something just because nobody else does. Or if somebody doesn't like something, it's like, I for whatever reason, like it. And so even the way that I came up through martial arts, that fits me to a fucking T. That is exactly me. However, when I look at that, it's like, yeah, but I didn't have that clean path like Sue over there or John over there. They were in one martial art. They started here and they went all the way up. I don't have that. So I can rationalize that that's probably one of the reasons why I don't feel comfortable with my martial arts experience, even though I have the techniques. I know the techniques. I can demonstrate them. I can do them. And I have the teaching credibility and I have the ability to teach both in martial arts, in academic settings, and in corporate settings. So why do I feel this way? And, it's like one of the key things to understand. I mean, there's a couple of things, but it's like, I have to remember what I can do well.
Right.
And I just listed the things that I can do well. And the other thing, and this is big for me, is that I have to realize that nobody's perfect. And I do have this perfectionism thing that goes through my life. And I set super high expectations for myself and I will beat myself up if I don't hit them. But when it comes to other people, I don't have high expectations for them because, hey, they're human. I know that they're going to make mistakes. They need to do their own thing. They need to be them. But for me, it's like, I have to realize nobody's perfect, especially myself. And I need to be able to go through. But a big thing though is if you do feel like, like you feel like you're a fraud or what if someone's going to find out? Really talk to somebody. Talk to somebody who can help you. I mean, in addition to talking to your mentors to find out, hey, they feel like that as well, but talk to somebody who can help. And if nothing else, if you're a martial artist, which you probably are if you're listening to this podcast,
most likely,
pick up the book called No Pouting in the Dojo by Kathy, I think it's Chapity. She'll probably laugh at me when she hears this, or if she hears this and go, that's not my name, dude. But pick up the book because while the book talks a lot about different stories in her life that happen to center around martial arts, one key theme is the idea of imposter syndrome, even though she doesn't outright acknowledge it / label it. But if you are in the martial arts, I highly recommend picking up that book, because not only can you hear both Justin and myself talk about it, but you can hear another martial artist, and she was in Taekwondo, or Taekwondo, however the hell you want to say it. So that's another style outside of what Justin and I have experience in.
Well, hey, everybody, thank you for listening to us. If you have any further concerns, or if you feel like you have imposter syndrome, we definitely want to hear about it. David, any last words?
Well, if, like what Justin was saying, if you do feel that you have this, whether you recognize it as imposter syndrome or not, just reach out to us. If you feel comfortable, you can reach out on Twitter, Facebook, or even Instagram. I don't quite know how the hell you do that one, but
we're not going to spread your business around. Let us know what's going on.
But if for some reason you would like to contact us on there, we can be reached at Drunken Fist Pod. That's POD, or you can email us at Drunken Fist Podcast. Or hold on, it's fans at
it's
Drunken
POD.
Fist. Shit. Fans at drunkenfistpodcast.com, or you can even just go to the website at drunkenfistpodcast.com /contact. Oh, fuck you, man. Just find our contact fucking form on the website. But yeah, so yeah, subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever the hell you. Oh, and please, if you have the time, please make the time to rate, review, especially like on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us out. It's like when you leave a review of the show, that helps others to discover it. And
very true.
If you leave a review, we will read it on the air, unless of course we get like a billion of them, then we'll just have to cherry pick. But as of right now,
we'll just do a whole 4 episodes just reading all reviews.
We'll just do 4 seasons worth of reading the reviews.
It'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
But this show is made possible by you, the fans. To learn more how you can be a part of this show, please visit drunkenfistpodcast.com /fans. That's FANS.
Oh.
What?
No, I'm sorry. I finally finished the beer.
Oh, okay. And until we hit the mats again, thanks for drinking with us. Cheers.
Bye.
Whoa, that beer really did fuck you up.